ויחונם ויחונם הם יחד עם שמו ערב ובוקר בכל יום תמיד ערב ובוקר בכל יום תמיד ממקומו הוא יפם ברחמים ויחונם הם יחד עם שמו פעמיים באהבה שמע אומרים פעמיים באהבה שמע אומרים שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד הוא אלוהינו הוא אבינו הוא מלכנו הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו ברחמיו שנית לעיני כל חי והוא ישמיענו ברחמיו שנית לעיני כל חי להיות לכם לאלוהים ודברי קודשך כתוב לאמור ימלוך אדוני לעולם אלוהיך ציון לדור ודור הללויה לדור ודור נגיד גודלך ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש לדור ודור נגיד גודלך ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד כי על מלך גדול וקדוש אתה לדור ודור נגיד גודלך ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please continue in silent prayer through page 161. עושה שלום במרומה, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום
Shalom Aleinu, V'al Kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, V'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru Amen.
You may be seated.
Kaddish Shalem, yes. Page 181. Itgadal v'itgadash Shmei Rabbah, B'alma divrach Yerutei v'yamlech malchutei, B'chayechom u'v'yameichon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Israel, Ba'agala u'v'zman karif v'imru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevorach, Le'olam u'lalmei almaya, Yitbarach, Yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitale v'yithalal, Shmei dekodesha, Richu, Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiram v'alma v'imru, Amen. Titkabal tzalatchon uvatchon, dechol Israel, kadama v'chon, divishmaya v'imru, Yeher, Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Beit Israel v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav u'yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel v'imru, Amen.
Friends, please give your attention now to Steve Legum, the President of Temple Israel.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
It's nice to see such a big crowd here, and I hope we can replicate this every Saturday. I want to make a couple of my usual announcements, and I just want to go down the list real quick because there's a few people here that don't come all the time, and I'd like to mention that we have a lot of programs going on at Temple Israel, and I'll just start off with tomorrow morning we have a big event, the Blue Yarmulke event at Bethel, and we'll be honoring Nancy Tucker for this year and Norman Soroka for next year, but they'll both be honored tomorrow at Bethel. And if you haven't registered, the registration deadline was last week, but I'm sure if you showed up and they'd probably let you in, or if you know, so I think you could still come if you wanted to. But it should be a very wonderful event, and we'll be honoring two of the folks that are members of our temple who richly deserve it for all the things they do for us. Monday night, April 11th, is going to be the Torah at the Beach, and the topic is going to be Eric Fromm. I spoke to the rabbi. He's a very famous psychiatrist who died, I think, in 1980 or so, and it should be very interesting. Every time we have the Torah at the Beach, the rabbi goes over some biography of some person, a Jewish person that we probably don't know a whole lot about, but contributed mightily to our heritage, and this should be no different on Monday night. So I'm looking forward to it. He can elaborate a little more on that. The rabbi has his regular Tuesday morning class after the Minyan, which is great modern Jewish thinkers. And we have coming up on April 19th and the 26th the KBH Temple Israel Adult Education Series, and the topic is Martin Buber, and the rabbi has been presenting that, and it's been really interesting. I strongly urge everybody to take advantage of this. It's really educational and interesting. He has the Bar Mitzvah and Bat Mitzvah class April 24th. The Quarantine Book Club will be Monday, April 25th. I want to point out that we have a mitzvah of the month, which is the supporting the Norfolk SPCA, and they dearly need our support. As I've been told, last year was a horrendous year, both in terms of money for animals and in terms of the animals themselves. And lots of people, because of the pandemic, would drop off animals and would abandon them and would mistreat them. And so there's a tremendous need right now. And as I said last week, these are God's creatures also, and we have an obligation to try to take care of these animals and all. they don't deserve to suffer. They've never done anything to us, and we should help them out. And there's a whole list. I think if you look in the bulletin, you'll see a whole list of things you can contribute. We will be having a drop-off at the temple on April 24th. That's Sunday from 11 to 1. So you can either call the office, make a donation, and we'll go out and buy the stuff. You can bring things by the office during the week, or you can show up at the drop-off between 11 and 1 and leave something as a donation for the SPCA. Very worthy event. The rabbi will be selling chametz. The selling of the leaven will be up until April 14th. That'll be this week. More information on that is in the bulletin. The Tidewater JCC is having a Passover Seder for seniors. There's a flyer out in the back there on the table indicating that it's going to be on April 7th. Registration was required by April 7th, but I'm sure you could probably register later. It's going to be, I'm looking for the date here, it's going to be the 12th, excuse me, it's going to be the 12th. It's going to be a luncheon over there on April 12th at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's basically for seniors. So it might be something of interest, and I think everybody could gain a little something from it, some camaraderie and also, religious. I do want to mention that next Friday night is the beginning of Passover. Again, on the bulletin, the front page indicates the dates and times of services and all. But Friday night will be by Zoom, and Saturday and Sunday will be in person and live stream like we're having today. The Yizkor service will not be the first Saturday. Next Saturday will be the Saturday after that will be the Yizkor service for those of you that want to attend that. We're also on Sunday, April 17th, we're having a matzah brai brunch here at the temple. And right after morning Passover services, and the rabbi will be making matzah brai, and Valerie Yanku will be making matzah toffee dessert. So I think that's something we should all attend. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to also thank the folks that contributed to the service today. That'd be Lawrence Fleeter with Prayer for Peace, and Rita Yeshayev, who did the Musaf. I want to thank both of you. And I want to thank the rabbi once again, as I always do, because he's the bedrock of our service. And he did the Haftorah and the Torah reading and all that, and he ran the service. So thank you very much, Rabbi. You were, as usual, you were your great self today. I also, in conclusion, want to thank God for allowing us to be here today to pray together and be together. And sometimes we don't appreciate these things, but we should appreciate them when you see what's going on around the world. And I do want to point out one thing today. We look at what's going on in the Ukraine, what these people are suffering. And remember that in the past, the Jewish people had nowhere to turn. So remember what Israel stands for today when you're asked for donations or asked to contribute something. This is the type of thing that hopefully Israel will prevent, and it'll never happen again to the Jewish people. So feel sorry for the folks in Ukraine. Be thankful for the state of Israel. I hope everybody has a very peaceful and spiritual Shabbat today, and I hope to see you at the program after this. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Steve. Thank you for your nice words. And now for something a little bit different. Linda told us that she's going to take today off for Ein Kelohenu. So what I'd like to do is use an Ein Kelohenu melody that comes from India, since we have an South Asian Indian theme in today's art. When I was in high school, I went to the United Synagogue Youth, USY. I'm sure some of you did as well. And one of my friends in USY was a young man from northern New Jersey named Simon Jacob, but his family came from Bombay, or as we would call it, Mumbai. So he taught me this tune for Ein Keloheinu, and I'm happy to share it with you. It's very simple. You'll pick it up right away. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadoneinu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu. Same melody for the rest of the song. Mi Cheloheinu, Mi Chadoneinu, Mi Chemalkeinu, Mi Chemoshienu. Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adoneinu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adoneinu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adoneinu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu, Atahu Shehiktiru Avoteinu Lefanecha Et Ketoret Hasamim. We rise for the Aleinu if able. 183. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol l'tekidula lioseh bereshit shelo asanu kiloyei haratzot velo samanu kimishpechot adama shelo sam chalkeinu kahem ve'or aleinu kechol hamonam va'anachnu korim u'mishtachnim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamelachim hakadosh baruch hu. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz. U'shemo echad. We turn now to the sacred task of memorialization. If you will be reciting the mourner's Kaddish, you may wish to remain standing. These are the yahrzeit anniversaries that we observe in the coming week. Anna Nassim, Lily Popkin, Annette Solinger, Morris Sirocco, Anna Blumenthal, Henry Brady, Joe Bronner, Robert Dorsk, Celia Ganderson, Tuba Mugerman, Joseph Hurwitz, Esther Hyman Imberg, Emma Sheffer, Mary Cohen, Anna Newmeyer, Libby Fox, Esther Gelfand, Rose Glasser, Anna Jacobs, Allison Letter, Sylvia Mercell, Morris Salzberg, Ann Singer, Elizabeth Zemmel, Lena Friedman, Joseph Goldfarb, Louis Goodstein, Clara Maisel, Jimmy Pizor, Ann Selkin. Page 184. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Bi'alma divarach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon v'yomechon. Uv'chayeda chol beit Yisrael ba'agala. Uv'izman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'le'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekutsha berichu. Liela min kol berchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechamata da'amiran b'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Zecher tzadik livracha. The memory of the righteous endures for blessing. Amen. Friends, as we are thanking people who are helping with the conduct of services, I also want to thank two people whose efforts you don't see right now because they're conducting a service by means of Zoom. And that is Sheila Panitz and Tanya Wissaker, who are conducting a junior congregation service right now. But the junior congregation will be returning to an in-person service for the last 2 sessions of our academic year. So we will have the junior congregation meeting on April 30th and again on May 14th. But with a nod to our COVID mindfulness, instead of meeting in the library, which is a much smaller space, they're meeting in the Sandler Hall, which has a larger space with more ventilation. So those 2 times will be April 30th and May 14th. So if you see Tanya and Sheila at that point, you can thank them for the work they've done all year long when we don't see them because it's been on Zoom. And now we turn to a closing prayer, Adon Olam, page 187. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yetzir nivra li'et nasa b'chefza kol azay melech shemon nikra v'yacharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora v'hu haya v'hu hove v'hu yihye b'tifara v'hu אחד ואין שני להמשילו להכבירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית ולא העוז והמשרה והוא אלי וחי גואלי וצור חבלי בעת צרה והוא ניסי ומנוס לי מנת כוסי ביום מקרא בידו אף כי דרוכי בעת אישן ויהירה וימרוכי גביעתי אדוני לי ולא יירא. Please rise for a closing benediction. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May the Lord bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May the Lord enlighten you and be gracious unto you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May the Lord lift up a divine spirit upon you and grant you peace. Shalom. Amen. Shabbat shalom. Now, friends, in just a minute or two, we're going to begin our scheduled drill, so you may want to just take a stretch right now, but please don't leave. And I'd like to welcome Dave Brackens to our congregation. And Mark, would you also like to help in welcoming Dave? Well, you can introduce him. You can tell us he's a heck of a nice guy.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce Mr. David Bracken. He is the Regional Security Advisor for Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce Dave Brackens. He's the Regional Security Advisor for Secure Community Network, which is the #1 nationwide consulting organization for providing security for Jewish institutions. Just a word about SCN trainings. I'm sure you all remember the Colleyville, Texas hostage situation that occurred in January. All 4 of those hostages were able to escape. They were not released, they escaped. And the rabbi who led the escape said that he and his congregants were able to stay cool, think clearly, and escape without injury because of a training that SCN had provided. So that's what we're doing today. Without further ado, Mr. Dave Brackens.
Thank you. Good morning. I appreciate you hanging around. What we're going to be doing is a drill, and it's going to be a low-key drill. It's not going to be there won't be a lot of noise. The plan is very simple. You're sitting in here during services, and you hear gunfire outside. What I'd like to do is, once I make the announcement, the shooting will be coming from back towards the atrium or somewhere outside. But it doesn't matter because it's not in here, but it's behind you. What I'd like to do when we do our trainings, and I'm not sure how many folks have been on the trainings that I've done so far, it's run, hide, fight. And in the first instance, if you can run, and run does not necessarily mean get up and sprint, it means get up and move. We want you to move away from the bang. So if it's starting back there, you're going to want to come this direction. So very simply, what we're going to do in a few seconds, I'm going to give you an announcement. I would like to see everybody get up and head out these emergency exits. Everybody know the emergency exits on either side? Go all the way out the doors, please. Once you've finished, we're going to come back in and we'll sit together and we're going to talk, because I want to hear what you think about what happened. If you saw anything that you think should be done differently, if you've developed a plan that maybe I don't want to sit where I was sitting before because I'm either too close or too far. Okay? It's very simple.
Can you stop for a minute because the live stream just started working and it's on?
Oh yeah, no, we don't want to do that. Yeah, that would be bad.
Dave, while we're waiting for it to go off, could I ask you a question you'll
Sure.
answer everyone?
Sure.
So to be clear, you want people not to congregate here, but to leave to the outside.
Correct.
Okay, everyone understands that? And you know that there are 2 doors, one on either side of the building here, leading out to Marcy Street. Secondly, do you want everyone to leave without taking anything? Just leave.
Just leave. Leave everything if you don't have it in your hands, leave it here. It's kind of like leaving an airplane in an emergency. Emergency landing, they tell you, leave everything on the plane. Whatever you don't have in your hands, leave with you. Take it out the door. We can come back and get stuff later on. But we don't want you carrying anything. You want you to have to stop and pick up coats or purses or bags or anything like that.
And thirdly, once they're outside, do you want them to proceed back to the entrance or to wait on Marcy Street for you?
Mark, what do you think would be faster to get them back inside? I don't want to take a lot of time up.
Ordinarily, if you have a real incident, when it's time to run, you run and you keep running as far as you can, as fast as you can.
Time out. I'm going to repeat what Mark says from the microphone if you're having trouble hearing it, but first say what you say.
Yeah, what Mark is saying, in a normal situation, when I tell folks to run, you keep running until you feel safe. And if that means you've made it to your living room, that's fine. You just keep going. For today's drill, we're going to have everybody go out to Marcy. And Mark, do you want to bring them back in the same way they went out, or do we want to have them come back around? I want to try and do this quickly so it won't take a lot of time.
I would suggest that when it's time for someone to come back in, perhaps a couple of our normal police officers can open the doors because they're closed all the time.
Okay, then we'll do that. Once everybody is outside and we've ended the drill, we'll have everybody come back in the way you exited. Yes, sir.